Yeah, I will say, not that I'm, condoning or recommending all the hate watching, but it's like when you're hate watching someone and they do really bad, it is really fun.
It sounds like I've tasted the juices of a successful hate watch.
Of course.
Hello and welcome back to The Dive, driven by Kia Season 10, Episode number 3. We got to actually start in Europe, honestly, today, because it is actually getting crazy. We thought that we were really accomplishing stuff, when we beat G2 at internationals, and we're like, oh yeah, we've got them. North America better than Europe. And then
ERL teams can
Los
do it.
Ratones could just go and beat G2 and MCOY.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, the conversation for a while was like, are they even going to get a win? Are they just going to embarrass themselves?
I think Meteos said no. They're not going to get any wins.
Yeah, Meteos. Well, I think a lot of the EU talent was kind of predicting that they were just going to get super slammed, right? Which I think is like fair enough. It makes sense. It's a tier 2 team. Generally, you wouldn't expect them to be able to jump up. A lot of people are questioning, can Baus, is that going to work in pro play at all? Or our team's just going to farm for so much free gold early game?
You don't get that much this season. That's the problem.
It actually, before we started the show, and me and Meteos were in here before you got here, and we were talking, and I was like, honestly, this is a nerf to me because sometimes I go 0-7 top lane. I was talking about my top lane escapades in Flex Q, and that's one of the patch nerfs that we'll get into later. But yeah,
I mean, it's just been crazy. It's cool to watch. It's definitely fun to see. I feel I don't know what EU is gonna do if Los Ratones what if they win the split? Then they're just not in the next split. Right? Because this is their versus tournament.
Yeah, what now? There's that's what Casual, there's so many reaction clips or whatever.
Yeah.
But a lot of them were like, yeah, what are you gonna do now? You're like, it's actually crazy. They've set up a scenario where they have a team in there that's supposed to not win any or win very few games.
Well, your most exciting and by far the most watched team is not going to be in your next split.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see how they figure that out, or if they're going to finagle away, find a way for Casual to get into the next split too. Or
I would imagine they would want to for sure, because I've loved following this team. Because granted, I don't watch all their matches because it's kind of early for me. Yeah. But I do follow their Reddit comments and all that stuff. And okay, the Reddit threads for Los Ratones are so funny because when they were losing every game, it's all the top comments just we knew they were total frauds. They would never make it. And then as soon as they get one win, it's complete 180. It's just I knew they always had it in them. Nemesis so good, all this stuff. So it's just really funny seeing the crazy overreactions to whatever their most recent result was.
Nemesis has been smurfing though.
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think this team is solid.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a surprise if they lose games, but I also don't think it's impossible for them to win or whatever. But it's been funny following all the fan reactions and stuff. And it really gives me an early LCS or just pro league in general vibe, because this reminds me of, early TSM or early C9, where it's just a bunch of dudes who like playing together, making their own team and just working their way up. So it's been really cool to see.
It's interesting though, because I wonder how much is best of ones carrying some of the load here, right? It's would they be winning best of threes against G2 and MCOY? I didn't think they would beat G2 and MCOY. I thought they would maybe get some wins. I wouldn't have been shocked if they got some wins against some bottom teams, but I feel like some of these players have really proven that they are should be in the LEC, right? Nemesis is a player I know a lot of people felt was kind of getting overlooked. I feel like Nemesis has shown he should be in the LEC for sure. This guy is better, I think, than a lot of LEC mids, and so it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. But yeah, they're a funny team. I mean, it's you have Reckless on one side who's leading the league in KDA as a support, which I don't know if you ever see, right?
I don't know if you want that necessarily.
That's part of what makes it funny. That's what makes it funny.
And then you have Baus on the other side who's going to be dead last in KDA every time. It's just they just have such different styles of players, and I don't know, the scaling stuff is working out for them really, really well.
I mean, it is the perfect combination of entertainment and an actual performance now. The thing that people thought why it wasn't going to be that big a deal is because it was just going to be the entertainment, and they weren't going to be able to have the performance part.
Lose 12 times
but if you are also actually winning the games, then that is the underdog story that every sports fan loves. Like those are the types of stories that they make movies about. And that's what we're getting it in real life. You're combining the star power of everyone already loved Kadrill, and Boss had one of the biggest streams in all of League of Legends. And then you're combining it with underdog story, bad news bears aren't even supposed to be here. And they're just like beating your best teams all over the place. And it's like an actual, League of Legends movie here. So it's
beating G2 is hilarious.
It's crazy.
Because when everyone was talking in the beginning about like, yeah, this team's not going to win a single game, I'm sitting there and, I've competed and watched a lot of League over the years, and it's super rare for a team to truly not win a single game. In the same way, it's super rare for a team to not lose a single game because there's like this mental factor to it, right? Where when you see your schedule and you're like, hey, we're up against the team that's never won, you're letting your guard down big time. Meanwhile, the team who's never won is so hungry. They're just like actually famished. Like they're just so desperate for the win
out here.
Yeah. And then, it's like this mental factor. As soon as the winning team like stumbles a little bit, they're gonna just like tilt because it's like, whoa, we're not supposed to be losing these guys. We gotta like double down, and then sometimes it gets worse and worse. So I've seen that happen a ton. So I wasn't surprised that they would get a win, but like beating G2 and getting a 4-win streak, yeah. I mean that's great. That's awesome stuff. It's just fun to watch, right? It's like whether they're winning or losing, people want to see it. So it's been super fun.
Plus their games are a lot of like comeback, late game tension adds everything to League of Legends. Everyone's been there, Baron plays and Elder plays, and late game stuff coming back always feels even better.
It'll be interesting to see how they do, assuming they make it into playoffs. I think they're right on the cusp. They're tied for 8th right now, and top 8 make playoffs in the versus format. But like they average down 2K at 15 minutes. That is their average.
Is that good?
That is their average. It is like they have a worse early game than Carmine Core Blue that has won one game, right? Like
which was against them.
Yeah, which was against them. So it's like it is crazy that a team that has negative 2K at 15 on average is like winning games. But it'll be interesting to see if they go into best ofs, if teams can kind of like crack the code, figure out how to draft against them. I know a lot of people are saying, you can't give them scaling. By the way, it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Honestly, I mean, I know it's probably impossible to get them over here, but like if they don't get into LEC,
we got a guest slot.
Like, they're breaking rules and stuff over there. Let them in early. Like maybe we can break some like import rules.
They could be in the America's Cup.
Yeah, what exactly? We'll figure something out. But yeah, it's. I mean, Raz tweeted out that he was jealous of all the stuff that Europe has going on right now, and yeah, honestly, I agree. It's fun to follow. Get him. We need to call up Tyler 1. We need to make Tyler 1, make a team with Cutie Pie and bring.
What was the team with like Dyrus and Skara and
Delta Fox?
Yeah, Delta Fox.
Delta Fox was fun.
Yeah.
Delta Fox was fun. But yeah, Ratones definitely a lot of fun to watch. The new patch. Do we want to do patch right now? Is coming is coming up. A lot of changes in it. So I guess they're like first kind of like big patch of after all the changes. So there's so many different champion changes. There's item changes. There is like all kinds of stuff going on. There's system changes. They're making gold. Like we were talking about how kills become worth so little so fast when you're actually just like if someone dies a couple times in a row, they're scaling back on that. They're making towers a little bit less tanky as the tower plates have been a big issue as you're getting towards like the 4th and 5th plate. Those things are becoming like immune if you have a bunch of people around. So tons and tons of changes. What's kind of sticking out to you?
Yeah, I like a lot of the changes, a lot of the direction at least of the changes. I still think it needs some more fine tuning, but I definitely do like the direction. Like I was memeing earlier when I was like, oh, it's nerfing my attempts at learning top lane and my feeding and flex queue. But it was like the first thing that we were complaining about on the first episode is like your second kill on someone felt really bad because the gold would go down so quick. It's kind of weird what they actually put in here in the patch notes though, because while they are, walking back how quickly your gold drops, the gold that you're worth, they also are making it a little bit slower for you to like gain it back. Because it says 1 gold per 5 gold earn. to 1 gold per 7 gold earn. So you can earn more gold before it goes back up for farming.
Not gonna lie. Before I saw these changes, I did not know how the formula worked whatsoever. I didn't know because it seems weird.
Almost
even if
no one is gonna know, things like that.
Because well, the thing is, so if your bounty goes down by 1 gold for 2.5 gold given out, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you, it still doesn't explain how sometimes I've killed a support for the second time and I'll get like 130 gold or something, and I don't know. It's weird. It seems like just some formula you're not meant to fully understand everything about, but it kind of. I don't hate the idea of get less gold for repeat kills, because I think that kind of helps in a way where I think one of the worst experiences in League is if you're laning and you fall behind, and then the enemy team's best way to win the game is just like nonstop kill you over and over. Like that's a miserable experience. So I feel like this.
Spread it around.
Right, it's like maybe de-incentivize. It's still good,
it's bullying
right?
after the second time, okay?
yeah, it's still good to do that, but maybe not fully incentivizing it. So I don't hate the idea, but I do think it was probably a little extreme.
Yeah, I think it was very extreme. So yeah, I'm definitely on board with walking it back. They said they're kind of putting it in between last season and the beginning of this season, which it might still be a bit drastic. Personally, yeah, I know that I always land on the side of I want more snowballing in the game. I'm kind of like, I like really fast games.
Ball the bear.
Exactly. I like a lot of early game jungles. And I also really like when my early game efforts, it is harder for my team to throw the games that I've gotten them into good positions.
My hard work. I built this league brick by brick.
I mean, that's just human psychology. You feel like you've earned all this stuff. If someone else throws it away, you're gonna get mad at them.
Yeah,
that's part of the reason. Lots of league players don't like each other.
You just gotta go numb to it. I'm just used to it at this point. I'm like, hey, my top laner's 3 levels up. Can't wait for their jungler to get a full level from killing them for fun.
Yeah. You have to, of course, balance that with the feeling of, all right, we're losing. You have to have some hope and want to be able to still play the game and come back in the games.
Yeah, because it's a horrible feeling if it's too snowbally and it's like, great, I'm up 10 CS in my lane, but my bot lane's 0 and 4, so let's FF at 15 and get out of this one as fast as we can.
And if you're sitting in a game and you already know you're going to lose and there's like nothing you can do about it, you just watch them just keep beating you up. Exactly.
Yeah. I actually feel like the game it's felt pretty good for me so far about feeling like there's good comeback mechanics without it being too much, because if the comeback mechanics are too good, then it kind of like makes the early game not matter, right? It's like, okay, you fall behind, whatever, like you just need to win. Because we've had metas in the past where it feels like if you just win a team fight at 20, 30 minutes, whatever, you just end the game. And that's kind of happened a little bit this season. I think that like the turrets feel a little squishy. So I've definitely lost games where, we're like at their tier 2 turret at 25 minutes, we get aced, and then they end the game even though our tier 1's still up. So like that doesn't feel great. But no, I think right now the pacing feels nice. I love the sieging stuff. Like the turret plates have felt really good. Just being able to push your lead, because I think if you're super ahead, you should be able to end the game quickly. Yeah. The worst feeling is when there's not good tools to actually end the game when you're ahead. So you'll have this like massive lead for one team, but it just stalls out, and then it's just like, all right, we know what's going to happen here, but it's just taking forever to get to the ending.
I mean, in my mind, it's like good game design is the game should always be in question until it is not, and then it should end very quickly. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like you should not be stuck in a game that everyone knows is over, and if you're still playing, it should probably still be in question, right? Otherwise, it's just not fun. So yeah, I think they're doing a good job. There's some more system changes with the trinket cooldowns and stuff are going up. So it started instead of at 170 at like level 1, it's going up to 210 second cooldown. So more opportunities for junglers to be able to find ganks early, because the trinket war cooldown is 40 seconds longer at level 1, which is pretty significant.
Yeah, it's also the range on the Phalite by the lanes is going down. So that's pretty significant for the fact that it won't actually see the crab. So if you've killed a crab on one side and then they ward the river, before this patch, like how it's been so far is it'll show you that crab, and so you know if their jungler's been there recently. But now it won't show you, so you won't even know if they've killed a crab yet or not. I mean, you'll probably see it patrol if it's alive, but it doesn't give as much free info, and it does make it a little bit easier to gank. So that'll be cool. Because right now it feels kind of useless to lane or to river gank. I feel like if somebody's paying any attention whatsoever, they will not ever get ganked from the river. So it's incentivized a lot of like home guard lane ganks. I've been doing a ton of those. Like anytime I want to gank a lane, I just run down the lane for I recall and I just click into the lane.
I can't be looking at my mini map. I'm trying to click on the crystals on the tower. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, home guards have been super duper OP. I still use those heavily, but one thing I did use is because everyone puts wards in Phaelites now. So the Phaelites, they go all the way down past the epic monster pit over to like wherever the banana brush is. So yeah, it would see if you go for scuttle crab. So what I have been doing is I drop the first scuttle crab and I just go in through the ramp by their raptors and walk all the way around. And it gets people 100% of the time because they're like, oh, this guy's not even on my side of the map. He didn't get topside crab. Every jungler always gets crab, right? Crabs are number one. So I've been dropping crabs.
What kind of a psychopath doesn't kill a crab?
I've been dropping crabs in favor of killing top laners instead if they're at all gankable. Yeah, then the other jungler does get both crabs, so there's a price to pay.
That can be tough. Yeah, there's a bunch of champion changes this patch. I feel like for the most part, the changes seem kind of small for a lot of them.
Yeah.
The ones that stand out to me is what was it? I had something in mind. I just totally blanked on it.
Well, I'm actually pretty happy with a lot of the.
Oh, sorry, Jace.
Okay.
Jace was the big one for me. Wow, that was crazy. So yeah, Jace has been an absolute demon. I think he's been permabanned every single pro game, so we haven't actually got to see his power a lot of the time.
He's played sometimes in other leagues, but
in LCS, I don't think he's got
banned
at
a
all
lot
yet. But yeah, it's like that champion is so frustrating to play against. He's just like he's very fast early at his clear, and then he just kind of like gets a dirk after his first buy, and then he starts shock blasting your laners for like half their HP, and then you do the trick where you shock blast and you go melee form as it's traveling, so you get the melee first strike gold. And then once he gets his Yomus, he is like the home guard demon. He's just lanes are always vulnerable because he just home guards through the lane at you. And what do you do?
Yeah, and people underestimate after the giant shock blast that chunks you super low, then he also runs through with a bunch of extra speed through his gate and goes melee form and does the jump and the CC of the mini bump and stuff on Jace is kind of crazy. And since you've already been chunked, like you can't really stand and fight.
Yeah.
So it's actually super impressive. But yeah, I was gonna say I like a lot of the jungle directions that they were going for in this patch, and Jace was one of them.
Yeah, I think for me, my biggest gripe with jungle so far has been like Jace, along with a few others. I feel like that the whole lethality jungler thing is kind of obnoxious, more from a laner perspective than another jungler perspective. But like Talon, Ambessa, Jace, Zed, whatever, like you clear the jungle so fast with lethality items that you kind of just run around killing everyone, and it makes the jungle very snowbally, which you like. But I don't like it too much because usually it'd be like if it's two assassins versus each other, one of them's 20-0 and the other one's like 0-10 or something, and it's just I think it's a little out of control. I have a more fun when it's like champions are a little bit more durable. There's more than just one decision to make in the fight. It's like, hey, who one-shot who? Like, did you flash an ability or not? So, I mean, just my personal preference, but I think overall it has been really fun. The other really big change is the Mel rework, which I think a lot of people are probably pretty excited about because I know that despite her not having a good win rate, she's, I don't know if she's still one of the most banned champs, but pretty much has been since release. A champion people find very frustrating to play against, mostly due to her W. She's like just this poke mage, who's spamming Q at you. If you try to engage on her, you're going to get rooted. If you shoot a skill shot at her, even if it's going to hit, she will aimbot that right back onto you. So The biggest change for Mel is that her W is no longer going to be a damage immunity. It's going to be just a big shield on herself. So, you'll still be able to hurt her when she presses it. And then she's getting a little bit of compensation buffs elsewhere. Like, I think she gets more move speed during her W. But overall, I think these changes are meant to be power neutral, but make her a lot less frustrating to play against.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It's like, even if Mel, like you can make any champion with any kit strong or weak, right? That's not a problem. You can always change numbers. But like the way that it was designed, to me, would just never be fun to play against, because it's like, I feel like in League of Legends, basically it has been established that there is this kind of like contract of, okay, if you're going to have long range and be squishy, then you have to be vulnerable to engage, right? Like there's kind of like this sliding scale of like, the tankier you are, the shorter range you are, the like further away you are, like a Vel'Koz or a Xerath, the squishier and easier to kill you are, right? Like it's kind of like this give and take. And so it's like your counterplay to Mel by design in League of Legends has always been, all right, she stays really far away, I can never get to her, but surely when I engage on her, I'll one-shot her, right? She just has to mess up that one time. Great. I'll play Fizz and I'll press R. Oh, oops, she reflected it back on me. Like, so you took this champion that is really long range, really frustrating, has all the poke and whatnot that like a Vel'Koz and a Xerath and these style of champions do, and then you remove the weakness that has been promised to all League of Legends players. Like that is like the contract that was established. You remove the weakness. You gave immunity, spell reflect, everything all in one button. And so it's like, yes, of course, you can still just make it so like you could make the Q do 0 damage, and guess what? She's going to be the worst champion in the game, right? Like you could make it so she sucks, but if she's viable at all, she was never going to be fun to interact with. To me, she was my least liked design of any champion in League of Legends history. And I felt really like it just was never fun for me to play against this character. Even when it was low win rate, I wanted to ban it because I had no fun playing against it. You're just getting pelted by the Q and E and the auto, and you never feel like you can go in, right? So I'm very glad that they've made some big changes. Hopefully it really does feel like it kind of like fixes that feeling that you can't really do much, because it has always to me kind of felt like Mel is playing a single player game almost, and like you are more relying on her messing up than you are on your own successes, because it's like the Q is not really that dodgeable for a long part of the time, right? Like it's like if she clicks it right on you, you're gonna get hit by some of it. Sure, you can like dash out of it on some champs, but you know what I mean, right? And if she didn't react well with her W, you could punish her or whatever. But like these changes seem like a good direction. It seems like it should make it less frustrating. And hopefully they can, if it's less frustrating, then you can like increase the power and make it, a cool champ.
Yeah, that Q thing is another one that they're touching. I didn't mention that, but it's getting a longer cast time, slower projectile speed, and lower radius. And then for compensation, they are increasing the damage of it, and then they're making her E root duration 1.5 at all ranks. So I think for quite a bit of Mel's lifetime, I don't know if it's the case right now, but like E max has been really good on her, and that's what people are doing. So I imagine they're trying to push her more toward a Q max. So we'll have to see how it goes. Hopefully it's not, it doesn't feel quite as unfair, because like when you were mentioning as a melee champ, when you get on her, you're supposed to be able to kill her. Like one of the most upsetting moments I had against Mel was playing Kiana, learning she can reflect my alt is Kiana. And so I had her in the river. I was like, yeah, she's dead. I was going to like ult the wall behind her and like stun everybody, but it reflected back into me and it still ripples on the wall and stunned my whole team. I was just sitting there like, there's no way. Like, how is that how it works? Like, how is my ult a projectile? So yeah, I get the frustration. Yeah. Not a good time.
They made a concoction of like some of the most annoying things in League. The one you just described. Then like the thing about the Q, it's like a skill shot, but it's not really a skill shot.
Not really.
Because it was so easy to land because of the speed of everything. That getting nerfed also is like, okay, they're walking back a lot of these areas that are super like heavy pain points for everybody. But that is pretty much just solo Q and then Faker, playing it. Brought a lot of attention to it.
Maybe
I think that some of the things in here that do affect pro play though are the Vi buffs and the Xin buffs, because they're like, all right, Dusk and Dawn users, we're coming for you. They actually didn't really come for them like too hard. Like you said, a lot of these are, I think, very reasonable nerfs to the Dusk and Dawn users. So I'm actually not too angry about those. But then they're buffing up Vi and Xin, which have been struggling in solo queue, but not in pro play. They're still getting spammed in pro play, and theirs are just getting buffed. So, I mean, I feel like they're just going to get even higher priority now.
I'm really interested in the phase rush changes and how much, if any, difference it'll really make in pro, because right now there's a lot of mid laners that are just kind of using phase rush to just negate ganks and negate counter matchups. Like when you think of Cassio Rise, it used to be considered as a big counter, but now everyone just takes phase rush on Rise, and when you get miasma, you proc your phase rush and you just zoom out and like, okay, well now it's just like a farm matchup, and you have Cassio for later.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they are doing this now, but like I love the phase rush nerfs. I feel like phase rush has always been such a weird rune to me because it does two things. One, it gives you move speed, obviously, and you think about it, it's like, what's the counter to a lot of move speed? Slows, right? But then it also negates slows, so it's just like, what? Like, why is this doing so much? So yeah, that's definitely been weird. Like, Rise is insane right now. I think he's like one of the best champs in the game, and they're buffing his item. Like when I say his item, I mean nobody else really building Actualizer, right?
It's like 300 gold cheaper or something.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge buff, 300 gold cheaper. Because when I first read Actualizer's effect, I thought this item was going to be just insane on almost every mage, but I tried a little bit and it didn't feel great because it's really weird to get value out of it. It's like it scales with your mana, so you have to go like Rod Seraphs if you want to do that, which is kind of a low damage build already. And then if you go Actualizer as well, you're delaying your Death Cap, your Void Staff. Yeah. So it's been in kind of a weird spot. I do like the price reduction, but I still think it'll just be the Rise item because he just benefits so much from all of it. It's like it even buffs his Seraph shield while it's active because it makes all your shields bigger too. And he's the champion with the biggest mana pool by far because his passive just gives him a ton of mana. So that'll be pretty interesting to see. They're also changing the tank boots mid lane. That's one of the changes that I think will be kind of cool to see because I think especially in pro play, like I think the games have been a little slower in a lot of the matchups than maybe we would like to see. A lot of it I think has to do with Azir's prominence, right? It's like every series you'll get like the Azir Ori matchup, and Azir's kind of just a champion that's like he makes the game slow, right? He has his big moments where you get like cool shuffles and stuff, but for the most part, his early game is going to be really slow because he's safe and just wants to scale up. And I think these tank boots enable it, so I like seeing the nerf there. Yeah. And hopefully with like the nerf to that, the phase rush, we'll see maybe a little bit more action around mid lane.
For the Rise one too, they're nerfing the actual champion because they know that's his item, but it doesn't do much. They're nerfing damage on Rune Prison, so it's like the babyest thing. So I think that he is still gonna be super duper OP. You know what I thought of immediately though with the phase rush derf was the play where Quid chases down Nidalee. Quid is on Orianna.
Oh yeah,
invades the jungle and with phase rush Orianna literally chases him down and just kills. I think it was Blabber, right?
Yeah, it
was Blabber, and he just went up and like it was not like a low health Nidalee. Blabber was mostly full health.
Yeah, he was full. He was just trying to clear a ward.
And it was in the jungle with brush around. And the Orianna just chases him down and kills him. And I was like,
that ain't right.
I had enough. Phase rush, down with phase rush. We need to do something about that. Honestly, I think the phase rush nerf has been a long time coming. I think it was one of the runes a while ago where it was underused.
Yeah.
And they did the specific like, oh, we're gonna buff one of the underused runes because I honestly think it is cool that it's a bit different than other runes, not just damage. A lot of runes are kind of samey, so it is cool that it is a different one. But it being so strong and just giving turbo speed and slow resistance and all that stuff, it was just it got to very extreme levels. So I was very happy with, like I said, a lot of the direction of a bunch of these changes for this patch. So I think it's going to be quite healthy for this week.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much it does mix up for pro play. Of course, we just finished week 2 of the LCS, kicking back off, which was honestly a pretty fun week. We had some pretty good matches. Where do you guys want to start? Do you guys want to start on the top of the table, bottom of the table? We could start maybe the Lyon C9 one, I guess. Because that was a pretty fun series. That was I think a lot of people were looking at this as like Lyon has a really good chance to kind of prove that they do belong at the top of the table. And this team is kind of like more controversial in power rankings. Like I know I put them kind of low. Some fans and stuff were definitely pretty mad about that. And some people thought that they were, going to be like championship contender. Some people thought they were going to be maybe more like third and whatever. So there's kind of been like differing opinions on where they should land. But I was really looking at this as like a really good opportunity for Lyon to put themselves kind of like at the top of the conversation after what was more like they 2-0 dig, but it didn't look like super clean. But coming into this, it like you never want to like look just at one player or blame a game on one player or anything, but God,
sometimes you kind of do.
It's all cute, yeah. But man, Saint had some rough endings to this series, both in game 1 and in game 2. It's hard to not look at Saint and think, man, could you not have done something different there? Game 1, it was this like really pretty exciting game. It was close for a long time, and then C9 gets Baron. They're pushing the base, and Dokla and Saint were kind of like out on the map doing this split push thing. I think they were kind of trying to like call their bluff and be like, oh, you're gonna have to be forced to base and answer us, so we don't have to defend. And I don't know if the call was like, oh, we can't defend, keep pushing, or what. But they're playing Nocturne Orianna, and the Nocturne was doing this like tank build, and Saint just like didn't base until after the Nocturne had ulted, and like the game was just over by the time he based. And it was just like, it just kind of ended out of nowhere after this back and forth super competitive game. And yeah, again, like maybe he wasn't the one who made that call. Maybe they're saying we can't defend, like keep going. But like it looked really weird.
It definitely did. To play his advocate a little bit, obviously I don't agree with what he did, but him and Dokla were both like deep pushing the side lanes to try to make it so, they're doing a push, but if you can stop their bot lane push, you're going to give the inhibitor. They won't be able to get Nexus, and then they won't have another lane to go to immediately. Like that's a fine strategy.
Yeah.
That's something you can do.
But as soon as C9 are posturing past the inhibitor, press B.
Exactly. And so I think that Saint, at one point, it was like him and Dokla were both not on the maps, or like they both weren't available to defend, so I think that's fine. But Lyon did kind of overstep a little bit with their people who were in base, like letting C9 get on them at all. So I thought that was a little bit weird. But yeah, I think it did look initially like Saint was just kind of like full muting, rage pushing, as some people do in solo queue after their forfeit votes have not been successful. But I would give him the benefit of the doubt to say that's probably not what he was doing.
No.
I believe he was close to his death cap, and maybe that's what was causing him to be like, okay, one more wave and I get my death cap, which obviously, if the cost of the death cap is giving your Nexus, probably not ideal. So
then you start the next game with the death cap. So
really?
Power spike for game 2.
I didn't know about that hack. That's a good one.
Yeah. So I think that's maybe like the angle he was seeing. I'm going to try to get my death cap, and hopefully the team defends, because I think,
especially with empowered recall though, which he had for his boots, it's like, how are you not reacting more quickly? I don't know. It just
he definitely should have.
It seemed rough to me. Regardless, even you're like, all right, game 1 was still real close. That was an exciting game, no problem. Then you go into game 2, and game 2 was also like pretty exciting, and it gets to this point where Lyon, I felt like it was at the Elder, right? So they had lost Soul, to my recollection. They were at this Elder fight. They had killed one person at the very least, and I think Blabber had died, and Lyon basically, in my mind, had like secured Elder. And all they had to do was just like stay on the Elder because they had smite advantage, and just like take the Elder, and then likely you're going to do a lot with Elder, if not end the game, right? Like it's a really, really powerful buff. And Saint kind of like just, I don't know, I guess he was thinking that C9 were maybe going to engage with their couple people, and he was going to like flank behind them and kind of like get in behind them and kill them. But he just like went too far forward. He got seismic shoved by APA. All of Lyon tries to pile in and save him, and he dies for free. They all die. Game 2 ends as well. And so that one was tough. That one was, I think, more understandable. But it just felt like you're doing too much. Like you're in a situation where you've already outplayed your opponents. You've already kind of won. You have smite advantage. The Elder should be yours. All you have to do is just stand with your team and hit the Elder, and then you have a very good chance to win the game, if not at least like equalize the game, And so it was definitely a rough series from him. And from Lyon overall, it just felt like they looked kind of disjointed. It's like the games are never down to just one moment. It's not just his fault, of course. But when you have those game-ending plays back-to-back from one player, it's always a bit of a tough look.
Yeah, and I think it looked like the game was a little bit closer than it should have been because, the one play that really made my head hurt, and I'm sure C9's did too, was I think it was like after C9 got Soul, or maybe it was Baron or something, but basically Inspired had just did his absolute classic sit in the side lane bush as Vi, which he does all the time. Like, this is just Inspired's thing. And C9 knows it. Like, they've talked to me about it. They say, yeah, that if Inspired's on Vi, he's going to be sitting in a side lane bush, no questions asked. And then a couple times that game, APA, he knew Inspired would be there, but he felt safe. He was like, I'm going to check the bush with Talia Q. But in reality, it's like, okay, he can hide in the back of the bush and your Q won't see him, but you're going to be too close to get away. And then APA still fell for it. Like, he still got caught by the Vi, and that kind of put Lyon back in the spot where it looked like they could come back and win, because it was kind of funny where it was almost a mirror situation from week one with Lyon, where they had given up a Soul, but it happened to be Cloud Soul against the same duo of Talia Pantheon, who are just like two of the worst users of Cloud Soul, because, their ultis to get the move speed are like not really combat ults, so you don't have to deal with that massive burst.
The flat move speed is still super strong.
It is, but like compared to other stuff, where I mean, you're legit zooming when you press your ultimate, and so it's kind of like if there's champions you give Cloud Soul to, those are the ones that are not as bad as others. So it was a fun game though. Definitely some unfortunate little oopsies by Saint at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun series overall. I thought it was exciting to watch, and especially because everyone wants to see how this Lyon attempt at a super team is going to work. When are they going to start to yell at each other? Everyone's looking into all the comms after every game. They're like, well, did you see the way that he looked at him over, after this play or that play or whatever? Because, these players are really, good individual players. And so everyone's trying to dissect it and stuff. But Lyon, I think, they showed a lot of positive things as well as some negative things, definitely. But it made it exciting, and you're like, okay, this team has the capabilities of being top 3, top 4
for sure.
Team. For sure, for Cloud9, I think it was a very establishing moment where they beat Team Liquid already in the opener, and then they followed up by beating Lyon. So Cloud9, it's a very establishing beginning of the season, we're the top dog type of thing. But it felt good that we're going to have teams challenging, and they definitely could take games, because there were mistakes on both sides. Some mistakes from Cloud9 as well. Some openings there. So. It continues with the trend, I felt of a lot of the LCS games are really exciting, and seems like the league is very, very competitive. And I was actually I wanted to come in today and ask how it was watching especially this series with Double Lift Meteos, because he has been very open about Saint in solo queue terrorizes him, and so I wanted to get the.
I mean, Pobelter too. Pobelter's not someone who usually flames people at all, but he's been griefed by Saint as well. And it's such a rare thing to have that in a pro player, and it kind of makes me want to root against him too, because it's as a pro player, it's everyone's human, but people can get frustrated in solo queue. That's fine. Even if someone's like spam pings or flames a little bit, whatever. But when you're full on giving up, rage pushing and just trying to lose the game because you're upset about something that happened earlier, it's that's just not cool, right? That's just dumb. So I've definitely been on the receiving end of that from a lot of people, and so I'm happy to see a solo queue griefer go down.
Especially to Pobelter. Pobelter has the best mental, always a super nice, super calm, trying to win and stuff. But yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, not that I'm, condoning or recommending all the hate watching, but it's when you're hate watching someone and they do really bad, it is really fun. You know,
It sounds like I've tasted the juices of a successful hate watch.
Of course. Who hasn't, you know? So, sometimes it's irrational, but you're just, I want this guy to do bad.
There's got to be like a specific, you know, how like in German and stuff, they have specific words for those types of
For
feelings.
a successful hate watch.
Yeah. There's because I know what they're like Schadenfreude or whatever.
Yeah.
Like kind of close, but they've got to.
They needed the successful hate watch. Successful hate watch
Because
word.
it's such a unique.
It is. It's great. It's sometimes it is. I mean, I will say with League, when you have like a horrible session of League, you just want, you know, misery wants company, right? When you turn on a streamer, you're no longer cheering for your favorite streamer to have a good game. You're like, I want them to suffer like me, you know?
That's why, you know, a lot of times people are like, oh, man, I can't play anymore, but I could definitely watch. Like,
I could definitely watch someone else get grief.
Yeah,
That would be
you guys
fun.
turn on your stream. Yeah. In our Discord, like, you know, they're always like, all right, you guys jump into solo queue. I'll just watch, you know, turn on your stream. Whatever. you got the cooldown.
Yeah. Your friends are hate watching you right there. They're cheering against you. It's kind of messed up. All right, Dignitas played against Sentinels. That match happened as well. What was your guys kind of like read on this one?
Dignitas for Sentinels.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Sentinels did better. I thought so. Dignitas had their bot lane this week, and I thought initially it was looking pretty promising. Like Ignite was going around making plays, but I don't know. At some point, it just sort of fell apart for them, and it felt like you're just watching Dignitas, the team we've seen be in last place for pretty much the whole time.
I love these intros. They're like, that's a series that happened, and then you just find yourself watching Dignitas. But I understand what you're saying, though. You know, and everybody at home does too. And it is kind of unfortunate because it's, you know, especially after like the opening weekend, and then they're going on the podcast and they're like, oh, there's only a few things that we need to clean up. But you also have to feel, you know, a bit for this team because they're the ones that actually had to do the full emergency sub bottom lane. And as much as, everybody did have to deal with visa issues and people getting here late and practicing stuff, you know, that they actually had to, you know, fully go through it. So I think that's the angle to go for, is a little bit of you trying to keep the hope, you know, light alive there for Dignitas, because I would say, for me, my biggest takeaway this year is that I do have a lot of respect that they are trying to change, because, you know, like you're saying, and then you're just watching Dignitas and everybody has all these bad memories for the last many, many years of this organization. They're making a real effort to change it all, you know, brought in Jonathan, new GM, you know, changing up a lot of stuff inside the organization. And and they got probably the most rough end of the visa situation stick. And now they've got everybody here, and hopefully, you know, they can find some value with these changes. You know, of course, they're not starting out great, and nobody's thought that they would. So I think if you're the Dignitas fan out there, hello, you know, keep maybe take a long-term approach.
Well, I felt like they were in this series with a chance. I didn't feel like it was just like a stomp or anything. To my recollection, it was like pretty back and forth and everything. It wasn't like they were just getting completely blasted. So
they've been blasted harder.
It wasn't that bad. You were casting this one, weren't you?
Yeah.
This one was like relatively competitive. I know it was 2-0, but wasn't it? Am I crazy?
Game one started pretty close, but then it sort of fell apart. You know, Sentinels had the Ori Nocturne combo, which has kind of been terrorizing the league so far. It feels really hard to play against. And there was one point where Dignitas was kind of like walking around mid, and they just got a little bit careless with their formation, and they had 3 people stacked on top of each other, and then, you know, Nocturne Ori just immediate punish. And that was one of those ones where Doublelift and Pabelta were discussing it, and they were like, oh yeah, big misplay to group so much. And then we were like, that can happen to you at any point in time, right? It's like you you can't just never be grouped with people. And that's part of what makes playing as Ori Nocturne so hard, is that it's not like, okay, there's this small window where Nocturne can ult you. It's like, he can kind of do it anytime and you will have no warning that it's coming. It's like the screen goes dark and then you're immediately Ori ulted and there's not really anything you can do about it. It's, there's no timing where you can flash it. If you have Zonia, you can do that, but you don't necessarily know it's going for you because you can't see anything. So, while it is bad for that to happen, I kind of understand how it can, right? It's like, at some points you will be near your teammates, and it sucks if that's when he goes on you.
Yeah, I think to me, the thing that just felt bad was like, even though there's like, the early game or for game number 1 is totally fine, and it felt like, all right, they're in a capable spot, then maybe it was like kind of like a domino effect of like, and then they just like lost several team fights in a row, and I was like, never mind. If you just can't win the team fights, then I actually did like how they adapted after game number 1 when they couldn't win the team fights and weren't having great coordination in them. Then in game number 2, they did go into a lot more like globals and some split pushing and making attempts at making picks and stuff, but. I
mean, game 2 was kind of a stomp.
But that one. But I like at least the idea of like, hey, we recognize we weren't able to team fight, and so let's try a different strategy. It's not like we're just gonna lose in the same way.
Yeah, I will say.
That if the best thing you say about a team is at least they tried and they didn't lose in the same way, that's I would say looking good.
Photon, I think is actually really good.
Yeah.
I think Photon has impressed me quite a bit. I feel like he is looking pretty damn good. I like that he's actually doing combat sums as well. I feel like it totally makes sense, especially like given the situation. If your team is struggling a bit more and he's having really good success in a lot of the lanes. The Ignite Gwen I think was kind of cool that he brought out against Renekton. He did Ignite Kennen before. He did Ignite Renekton as well, if I'm recalling correctly. But he's done it a few times. I think he's looked individually really good. But obviously, the team is struggling. They have had the visa issues though too. That is also very true. But hopefully they can kind of get things going. As far as the Nocturne Ori thing though, I will say I feel like it is strong, but I feel like it falls off pretty hard later once like luxury items and stuff come through. Like it is really strong for a long time, but it feels more mid-game focused. So it's like, you can't just not go anywhere. Like the range is crazy, right? But if you can kind of keep the game more steady and slow and give up some stuff and farm, when it gets to the point in the game where it's like, the mage has Zonias, the AD carry has GA, and it's like, all right, who do we ult? Like it does get a little bit weird where it's not true of 100% competitions. Obviously, it depends on what you build around it. But some of the games I've felt that way where I'm watching it, where I'm like, okay, it's looking really good, really good, really good, and then they have these luxury items, and you're like, all right, how do you play the fight now? Like, do you just try to like one-shot the GA and then hope you can win after? But like they have an Azir on their team too, so you're kind of like ignoring the Azir and he's hitting you. Do you go on the Azir and try to like force Zonias, but then like the AD carry's killing you? Like I do think it can get really tough late game.
Yeah, I think we saw. I don't remember exactly what game it was, but there was some. I believe
Inspired loss with it.
Yeah. So that was actually the game as well, where it was. In bot lane, where there's a little bit of mind games when Azir has Zonias and ult between Nocturne and Azir, because it's like Azir's probably going to Zonia as soon as he sees Nocturne flying in at him, right? Because the Ori ult is always going to happen at that timing. But you can mind game it. You can have Nocturne just go in and hold the Ori ult so you can get him after Zonias. And then there's also the like spell shield with the Azir ult interaction where Nocturne's going to try to react spell shield to the Azir ult, which I think you can do it on reaction, but
Inspired did it like 3 times? That was crazy.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it is something you could like maybe flinch on if Azir like does his ulti at a weird timing. So there's some gameplay there, but ultimately I think it is the way that I look at it is, if I'm picking Azir and I'm giving up Orianna, she's way less threatening without a Nocturne on her team. I think it just enables her to be such a bigger presence, because it's like that delivery with the Nocturne is just basically unfair. Like I don't know any other way to describe it, because the ball like doesn't snap back even if Nocturne flies way out of range and it hits the exact same time. And because he flies in so quickly, it's just like you're guaranteed getting Oriolted with a Nocturne on you. So I don't know. When I see 80 carries playing against that, I'm just like, good luck, bro.
Yeah.
Hope Zaya's in the meta or something, because like, what else can you do?
I was gonna say that they actually deserve a matching skin line for Nocturne and Oriana, because it's one of those combos.
Nocturne just becomes a ball.
That's iconic. Like, they definitely need to have some matching skin line where like you can duo with your friend as the mid jungle, and you'll be looking good with Nocturne Oriana. I actually in this series was focused a lot on the Sentinels side, because Sentinels also started 0-1, and this is a team that tried to take a lot of like value picks and take a lot of picks directly from Disguised, which in the opener was not successful. But specifically looking at Dark Wings and Hambach I thought had a really good Pantheon game in the second one, especially. You could see some of the moments where the language difference was very apparent, like the first gank towards mid, where they've got like a basic like counter gank set up, and they're like, oh, bait them over to this brush. We're TLAW Pantheon. Like that, speaking of combos, like, yeah, Nocturne Oriana is scary later, but like early on, TLAW Pantheon, flash stun into seismic shove, unraveled earth, like that's a 2v2 win right there. And like Hambach goes in and he flash stuns, but Dark Wings is running away, and so he's not in range for the seismic shove combo. And I'm like, that is just a pure, language diff.
Yeah.
And also maybe you haven't played together enough.
Dude, that combo's it does take some practice, because Pantheon stun is so short. It's like a 1 second stun. And TLAW's W is like you basically have to throw it as soon as Pantheon starts jumping to actually get the connect. Otherwise, it's going to be late.
Yeah, and that's why the big difference is he's running away, he's running in. You got to be able to either be like, we're still going for this, kill, 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 because if you're not, then it doesn't work. So that's why it's such an apparent, like, they're not on the same page. Because if they are, I think they do win that 2v2. I think it was a good call for Hambach to go for the flash stun. But if you're running out of the direction and you're not in range, and
who he was talking about it, he was saying how for Dark Wings it's kind of tough because like everyone else is just speaking Korean and he doesn't really speak Korean, right? So he's saying that they're going to try to do more like communication in English and stuff and move more towards it. But if like you have 4 players who all speak Korean fluently on a team with one guy who doesn't, so it's going to be that situation.
Shame on Dark Wings speaking English in a North American league.
Oh well, I mean it's definitely it's tough for him. So who he saying that they're going to try to change that, so they are going to be doing more English. And Hambach, I think he was saying was learning English and doing a lot of classes and stuff. So I think that'll probably get better over time. But yeah, they obviously can be pretty happy about their win. We are going to go to a quick break, and then we'll be right back after this.
Dude, this lobby is kind of comfy. It feels different.
If this is different, I like different. I'm staying right here.
Are you guys serious? We're about to get into game.
Emily, let us enjoy it!
You guys need to lock in. Maybe this'll help.
Oh no, not already.
Welcome back to the dive driven by Kia. We're going to finish talking about lock-in week 2 as DSG played Fly. That was a pretty fun series. I've been pretty vocal about I just think FlyQuest is a really fun team to watch, and DSG was like a nice surprise as well. Something, I don't know if you saw this interview, but I thought was really interesting because obviously DSG has been having to play with Kisno, but they're going to have Kryra for next week. And I just assumed that because they were having to play with Kisno, that meant they were scrimming with Kisno. Ido gave an interview. Apparently they haven't even scrimmed with Kisno at all. So Kisno had literally played like the amount of games with them that he has played on stage. Like, that's it. So they were basically saying, no, we know Kryra was going to get his visa, so we just kept scrimming with him and practicing with him. And so Kisno, I'm like, damn, you're actually doing pretty well. Like, you're just getting popped in. You haven't even gotten a scrim with this team a single time. That's kind of crazy. So that kind of made me more impressed with DSG, honestly, hearing that.
Yeah, I think Kisno's been really good, honestly. You wouldn't expect he's a rookie from how he's been playing. I think he's been very active in their games. He goes for a lot of plays because a lot of the time, especially for I don't think anyone's considering DSG a top team, but a new jungler on a bottom half team is probably going to look pretty AFK, right? It's like there's not going to be a lot of opportunities. You're going to have to do a lot of like damage control, like try to figure out how to get your losing lanes in a playable state. But I think he did great, especially game 2. I thought his Vi gameplay, especially him and Call Me, like they had so many good Vi Rise combos that game. They just found so many plays. I was extremely impressed by that.
I mean, I've just been extremely impressed by DSG overall. With what they have been able to do after having most of their team basically stolen by Sentinels this split coming in, I think this is one of the really promising stories. And then, winning a game versus FlyQuest and making this series super exciting. I honestly thought after game number 1, because game number 1 was stomped by FlyQuest, I was very worried that the whole series was going to be like that. But DSG bounced back really nicely in game number 2 to push it to full 3-game series, and I think props to them all around. Even if weren't considering you've literally never played any scrims with this team and you're just throwing them in as a solo queue, I thought DSG were looking better than expectations and doing quite well. Call Me especially. I'm glad you mentioned him because I think individually. The Azir game wasn't great, but the other games were quite good. And then last weekend as well, or the first weekend, I thought he had some really big moments. So I think overall this team is really fun to watch. Their team fighting, I think, is going to be one of the biggest strengths for this squad because even though bottom lane did lose out on a decent amount of lane phases, Sajed was quite good when it came to the team fights.
He's really good.
And especially his Kai'Sa.
Yeah.
He has had multiple now very good Kai'Sa games that have been in big carry positions. So I'm actually quite excited for this DSG lineup. I'm honestly going to be a little sad that Kisno is going back on the bench here. Of course, he was just an emergency sub, but
he might get another spot.
Fan. So
he's done well.
He definitely has.
He's done well, and like hearing that he didn't even get to scrim with the team, I feel like that's so hard. Like you haven't even gotten to play with these people at all, and you're just like popped on stage for your first tier 1 games with 0 practice, and you're looking pretty good on a team that's not expected to be a top team. I'm like, damn, somebody give this guy a chance, right? So I do think I wouldn't be surprised at all if some team is having some jungle struggles. Maybe they're going to try out Kisno, right? So I think he's definitely done a good job kind of proving himself. My understanding is that going forward, it's going to be Kryra because they released a video last week saying, we just need one more week, and Kryra was going to be here. So Kryra should be coming in for this coming week, which is pretty exciting for them. But yeah, DSG has been, I think, a pleasant surprise, especially given the fact that they lost all their roster, and then Ido's like, yeah, we're building this whole team around Kryra, and then they don't have them. So I'm excited to see what they can actually do with him arriving. How the team is actually going to look, but they've been a lot of fun. FlyQuest on the other side, I've just been so impressed by Masu and Cryogen. They have looked like way better, way faster than I expected as a duo. They are looking really, really strong. They've had like a lot of lanes where they were just completely blowing out their opponents. Cryogen is like the prospect coming in that, talking to a lot of the guys in tier 2 and even the coaches and stuff, people had the least faith in being good out the gate. And he's been really good. So I feel like FlyQuest really is kind of like hitting that high roll point where you're like, okay, this could actually just be a top team right from the get-go. Griffin, I think, is like super impressive. I knew from watching him some on Loud, like he was obviously good, had potential, but like I thought this team was going to look like even more rough around the edges. Ghost has been really solid, and when I think back to like he did have that one playoff series where he played and Inspired just like chain ganked for him and he looked pretty good, but like the other games he played during the regular seasons for FlyQuest, he looked rough, and he was really struggling, I had thought. So like him as well, I thought it was going to need more time to actually get to a good point. I feel like the team looks good. Honestly, I think Quad looks like the weakest part of FlyQuest. I don't know if that's a hot take at all, but I don't even mean it necessarily as Flame because I think the team looks good. But like, yeah, I was expecting, Quad and Masu to have to do a ton of the heavy carrying. I think Quad looks like the weak point on the team.
Huh, interesting. I mean, it is a hot take, but I think it's pretty valid. This team is very easy to root for. I mentioned it last week, but I mean, who doesn't love the story of like a bunch, like most of them are NA players, right? That actually, well, I guess Griffin, Masu, Cryogen. Gakkos is young. He didn't play in other leagues, so we can kind of adopt him.
We claim him.
He can be an NA player. But yeah, it's really cool. Especially Griffin, Griffin and Kisno, and then also Cryo once he gets in, they're all like, homegrown NA junglers, which,
NA has had a lot of good junglers, to be fair.
Yeah.
Since the very beginning.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Surprised that you guys would agree, but
Yeah. That's been really cool. It's always easy to root for them. And yeah, it's fun. He's playing the Volibear. He played it again. And
Our boy right there.
I mean, it's cool that he's doing well with it, but at the same time, like, don't do too well with it, man. Like you gotta not make it look too OP, or it's just gonna get nerfed more because it is like already crazy in solo queue. And he played without Thresh this time, though. I will say I have to bring up Disguise Comp from game 1. They're not the only ones who've done this, but I swear, so many times we see Rumble with no CC on the comp, and it drives me crazy. Specifically, it'll be Rumble Azir together, and this time it was Wukong, but a lot of times it'll be like Trundle or something. And then I'm looking at that saying like, how are you ever winning a fight? Like, if I'm a top laner and my coach picks me Rumble with 0 CC, I'm just gonna like start screaming and leave the game. Okay, maybe
screaming
not that.
nonsense too.
Maybe
he's not even screaming words.
the whole game, I'm nonstop screaming. No, but it's like how
they're just like, is this guy okay?
How are you killing anybody when you have no lockdown on your team? It's like no one in their team is going to be able to merc tread.
And you have no comms because Meteos is just screaming in your ears.
Yeah, it's the worst part. But we see this so regularly with this comp, and I do not understand. I don't know the last time. Maybe T1 pulls off these kind of comps where you have like no frontline, no hard CC. But for 99% of players, like, please just draft some kind of way to kill people. If you can't lock someone down, you're basically relying on them just like running into you and dying.
Did you see the Rumble equalizer to end that game as well? It was really funny.
Remind me.
Okay, so it was like bot lane and they're pushing in. I mean, it didn't really matter. The game was pretty cooked. It was some funny things, but like, I don't know. They look for their desperation engage. Everyone, I think, was kind of like making fun of the Azir because like he went in for the shuffle and all got sidestepped.
Right, yeah.
Everyone's like, ha, look at the Azir. But the Rumble equalizer like went off the screen. Like he like placed it at the into the wall. Like it went like sideways and down, and it just like wasn't even the right direction. Wasn't even close anyway. It just looked really, really funny.
Maybe that's why I didn't see it.
I think everyone looked at the Azir and was like, ha, what an idiot. He missed his all. And meanwhile, the Rumble's like self-equalizing.
Yeah, I mean, that was to teach his team a lesson. It's like, stop picking me this.
But it was very funny, funny like moment at the end. Yeah.
It's the meme of the soldier protecting.
The Azir.
Azir is protecting the Rumble, bad Rumble.
That was a funny ass Azir ult. Just go in, flash in, and miss all 4 people.
Yeah. Well, that was definitely not a good Azir game. He had some other moments, but I am on the FlyQuest hype train, and that's why their next matchup is versus Cloud9. So talking about like, oh, this team could totally be top team. They're literally the second place team right now. Well, tied for first place. And so we get this epic matchup, Cloud9 versus FlyQuest, coming this weekend. Definitely looking forward to that one, but I'm super excited for this squad because they're just so quickly working together. You've got it pulled up.
Got to show it to you. Watch the equalizer. So everyone's looking at the Azir, right? And maybe we can add this, but maybe it's too late. We didn't ask for it, so it's our fault if it doesn't get added. But 27-43 in the game. So there's the Azir. Now watch the equalizer. That is like the craziest one I've ever seen in pro play.
Was he like?
Only half of it is on the map.
It's all off the map. It's literally off the screen.
That was either a misclick or he had already been like,
It was
okay,
a
I'm
protest.
following up the Azir ult. Like I'm gonna ult where they're gonna be scooped to.
Well, it's still off the screen. It's not even by the
It was
zero.
bad. It was bad.
It's the funniest one I think I've ever seen. Like again, it totally didn't matter, but it's just one of those moments that was really funny.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one to bring up. I totally missed that.
Oh yeah, we've got a new request by the way. One more play to show.
We'll see if we can get it added. But yeah, no, that was a fun series. FlyQuest looking really good. Like you said, they're going to be playing C9. We did have one more matchup. We had TL going up against Shopify. That was kind of the final series that we haven't talked about. TL did get a win. They were able to 2-0.
That was TL from scrims right there, especially game 2.
Mm-hmm.
My lord, that was a dominant performance. And I don't know. I'm very much questioning the Zinni stonks so far because this guy was like the most promising prospect. There was the most hype around Zinni that I've heard from like an import in a while, right? It's like Thanatos level of hype. And
I think it was more hype than that.
Probably. Yeah, I mean it was real hyped. And he has not looked good. He has been struggling real bad.
That's why, yeah. Before the season, when I asked them after their little boot camp, I asked the actual other teammates, the players, how do you feel about the Zinni hype? Because like Chronicler was saying he's gonna come smurf your league, and they were all answering like, "Whoa, slow down, he's young," and that's code for like.
Yeah.
We're not going to start out super strong.
It's not just a chronicler take. This guy won like LCK like finals MVP. Like he was from what I've been told by multiple people, he had like up to 4 LCK main team offers.
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy that was looked at as, like the next big thing coming out of challengers for mid lane. So, but I agree. I think it's like he's played now 2 series of tier 1 League of Legends, right? And he just moved across the world. And, I don't want to like pass judgment and say, he's never going to be good or anything like that. Quid, obviously, his first split was horrible. People were up in arms that 100 Thieves was even going to keep Quid on their team after his first year. And then he won MVP. So we don't know where Zinni is going to be. But I will say Zinni is the worst mid laner in the league right now. And I don't think it's like particularly close. I think he has looked really bad. It is only 2 series, but he has really struggled. And I mean, Quid was dunking on him. And I mean, it was kind of like, obviously it didn't matter, but the game 2 with Quid on Orianna, where he was like Omega fed.
Filthy, absolutely filthy game. This dude's like, I remember looking at the items at one point. He had like Luden's Sork boots, Medjai's Storm Surge, and he has like an Asher's too or something.
He had 48 flat pen. He was dealing true damage to their carries. Both the Azir and the Xayah had 44 MR. He had 48 flat pen. That was like the kill at the end of that game was one of the fastest kills I've ever seen. Like he got like knock waved and insta died. It was like a 0.1 second from full to dead. It is a crazy kill. But I was like, well, yeah, that's kind of what the series has looked like. And he was dying a lot in the Anivia game, but I also kind of felt like in the Anivia game, he was the only one really doing that much. So I felt like the Anivia game wasn't that bad, even though he was dying a lot. I saw him getting flamed a lot for it, but I was like, yeah, but he was doing some stuff and his team was getting kind of owned and like.
So I don't think Zinni's looked good. I will defend him in the sense that like his team is not doing him any favors whatsoever. No. Game 2 specifically, Fudge had Gnar into Renekton, which this is a like super standard counter pick into Renekton. This has been going on for years. I don't know how long. And Fudge has been a top laner for a long time. I guarantee he's done this matchup a lot. And he got gapped. Like he got destroyed by the Renekton as Gnar. Like something went horribly wrong if that's happening. I think he was down 50 CS or something. And
owned,
I don't even think he got ganked. Like he just straight up 1v1 just got like absolutely handled by Morgan.
I will say Morgan, his Renekton, I think is by far his best pick. Like this is a guy who has like a career like 40% win rate. Like he hasn't played on a lot of good teams. His Renekton is like a 65-66% win rate, most played champion all time. Like that is his champion. So maybe Morgan's just built diff on Renekton. I don't know. This is the first time he got to play it, but yeah, that was surprising for sure. It's because Fudge is a really good top laner, and normally plays it really well, and he got slammed by
Well, I also felt like this series TL had something to prove because losing to Cloud9 in the opener after they were speaking of hype. Every player from scrims was like, "Oh my god, we don't want to play TL. TL's the best team. We got to dodge TL, all this stuff." And then
they got 2-0.
And then they got 2-0 by Cloud9 in the opener by APA, their old mid laner. And so it's like, ooh, they're playing a little angry. Like Spawn gave them a very strict lecture, and they're like, "All right, we got to show how we've been crushing teams in scrims to make everyone fear us on stage." And it felt like they, took it out a little bit on some of the Shopify squad here. Because, yeah, this looked like TL. I was like, all right, good. It's not just scrim bucks and all fluff or anything. This is actually a good team, too. So we have, like, a lot of good teams in the league.
Jose played really well, I thought.
Yeah, I thought Jose played well.
I was expecting an FF from Shopify. Not gonna lie. I think I'm playing so much solo. Keep like, as soon as I hit 15 minutes game 2, I'm like, yeah, why haven't they FF'd yet?
Dude, the Azir play was so funny where Core got caught out, and then Core tries to self ult himself on Bard, and Zinni Azir ults him over the wall.
Run!
And
Get out of here, Core!
Exactly. And then the Azir ult lands on Zinni and whoever else it was on top of him. I can't even remember. Maybe it was the Wukong or whatever, but it lands on them. And then TL just arrive like Avengers, and everyone on Shopify gets wiped, and Core just gets completely saved, scooped over the wall. It just looks so funny.
Yeah, that was the 4-man Oriole.
Yeah, they got insta 4-man ulted,
crazy.
all die. Quid was just so fed that game.
Yeah. Quid, I don't know if you saw the pros, but Quid was talking about Core JJ being a big reason why he joined the team in the very beginning, and him giving him feedback. You could tell he really appreciated it. He's like, I've never received macro feedback like that from someone. And just talking about how happy he is to play with Core and be on TL and feel like he's growing as a player. All seemed really good. And this series also backed up the Morgan has been our best performer, type thing from some of these plays, and Morgan playing really well too. So I feel like the TL needed this one to get back in,
and they got it.
Some of the hype, and I think the hype has been reestablished.
I think the hype's going to continue because they're playing against Sentinels this week. I think that is going to be really tough for Sentinels. I do think they had a good series, but yeah,
Impact versus TL.
That's going to be really, really exciting having him get to go up against his former team. Of course, Impact has played on a lot of different rosters, at this point in NA.
But for a while, though.
He was on TL for quite a while.
And I feel like this is the first one where it was like, all right, old man, we're kicking you.
Yeah.
Usually when Impact leaves a team, it's like, I got a better offer. See you guys.
Yeah.
type thing. So I think this one might be a little bit extra.
A little personal. No, I agree completely. I mean, he did feel like he really just got let go, right? He got replaced. And rightfully so. He had a very bad year. He had the worst year of his career, I think, by far. And, I think he's going to be really hungry to prove something against TL. Morgan definitely, I think, is a really hard laner to deal with. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I feel like it feels hard to build the way in which I expect Sentinels to win this, because I just think individually TL looks so strong. But of course, we did see them kind of have some collapses when they played against C9, in week 1, right? Even when they were in a really commanding position in game 1, they did still lose that. So of course, there are going to be opportunities for Sentinels, but I think it's going to be really, really tough.
Yeah, I agree. This is another one where it feels like Sentinels, they're going to have a little bit, they need an extra time, maybe work on some synergy for the team. This is one of the teams where I thought it was going to click quicker. But it was kind of weird to see these players that have already been, played together, not have as much synergy as some of the teams that just got slapped together. And then DSG, who you took all these players from, and they're literally playing with Kizno, who they never even scrimmed together. And I was like, wow, their synergy looks better already, you know, in like, you know, first couple of weeks. I thought that was a worrying thing a little bit. At least Sentinels are coming in on a higher note, and I think will have some confidence. So it will be a fun matchup. I think probably most people are going to favor Team Liquid, especially with how much hype a lot of the other players are saying from not only the games that we saw on stage, but also, you know, just dumping on scrims.
I feel like one thing that maybe you can give to Sentinels is that it's like Hanbok has had some really good early games. And it's like, if they can work on their coordination and be really on point. I know he had like Kiana game week 1 where he was like monstrously ahead. His Pantheon game was really good. Like there are these moments where it's like you're kind of questioning what he's going for. Like, is it a communication issue or whatever else is going on? But like he has had some really explosive early games. And if you can try to create like a really big lead, hey, you never know what can actually happen because they do have some talented individual players. I think Darkwings has kind of like really surpassed a lot of people's expectations. Like I think he's been pretty solid, you know, coming into a league where there's 5 LCK CL mid laners, LCK mid laners that you're going up against. It's not easy.
And he's playing on a team that we're all speaking Korean.
Yep.
You
I was
know?
going to say that.
So it's like he's a North American prospect that's on a team that doesn't really have comms for him. Yeah, I think considering that, he's doing great.
Yeah, I mean, he just needs to learn Korean, I guess. But that's a really rough situation to come into. It's like mid lane is one of the most important roles. You know, you're in this insanely competitive role where most teams are importing players for, and then you can't communicate with your team. So he's trying to catch up to all the macro stuff because obviously he's new to pro. But you know, I think he's been doing well, all things considered. Not perfect, obviously. Has had some sus games for sure, but you know. I think this team could be really solid though once they get it together and like figure out a way where they can communicate and work well together. But I think definitely this matchup, like TL's heavy favorite, it would be a massive upset. But I think it would be awesome to see Impact just like roll more. I don't know how likely that is, but it would be so cool just for like the revenge arc. You know, TL kicks Impact and then and they were always criticizing his laning phase, and he just comes back and like dominates their new. Like,
and he picks like Fiora, and you're like, "What in the?"
The least Impact champion ever.
Yeah, and he just crushes.
That would be so. That would be absolute
funny.
cinema.
That would be super crazy. Yeah, realistically though, you know,
some of Cassante, buddy.
Yeah, he'll be on you know, a standard Impact lane, and then honestly, if you're trying to be like, oh yeah, you know, maybe the mid jungle for Sentinel can like do something. Even in the Cloud9 series that TL lost, the beginning of those games, they were crushing. And a lot of it was Jose and Quid. They were doing these, you know, flat. Jose was making like W flash plays on Xin and then Quid was passing him the ball and then getting shockwaves. And then like they got multiple like flash engages with these shockwaves. And it just felt like, whoa. Like their mid jungle synergy is going crazy right now, and I think both Jose and Quid really impressed, even in the TL games that they did lose. Yeah, they did fall apart later, for sure. And but yeah, I think TL is going to be very difficult.
Yep, Quid Diodo looking pretty good. We have DSG versus Lyon, which I'm actually really excited for because we're going to get to see Kryra for the first time, so that should be a lot of fun. Against Inspired.
Good luck.
Woo! Good luck. And we'll get to see, you know, some more kind of info here on Lyon. And these matches are really important because if you are in that like 1-2, you can be in the last chance match or last chance bracket, whatever it's called. But like there's a last chance qualifier. 6 will play 7. So one team will get straight up eliminated in that the teams that are 0-2, whoever loses that is going to get eliminated. But, you know, whoever does end up 6th, 7th, will have that final chance, and that's going to be played next week as well. So we'll have that one extra game to see who our final playoff qualifier will be. So everyone's trying to dodge that and wanting to get the 2 wins to guarantee that they're going to be in.
I think Lyon's going to win this game pretty handily. There is the chance of like ego plays and stuff, especially because we did see
they almost lost against Dig.
We already saw them versus Dig do a lot of ego plays, and it looked like, especially a lot of these Berserker ones, it looked like Berserker had zero respect, and he's like, I'm so much better than you. and he would just like walk up and, try and crit him and flash on people. And at least that's purely conjecture. That's what it looked like to me.
They looked way more locked in against C9.
Yeah, they look way more locked in versus C9. So yeah, maybe this is a series where that might happen again. The ego might happen again, and they're like, we're way better. But honestly, I do think, Lyon should be favored coming into this. DSG though, like we said, after losing the first game to Fly and getting blasted, their mental was fine. Mm-hmm. They were joking afterwards about how hard they got blasted, and they're like, "Whoa, you got our one kill on the whole team, Kisno. You're a beast." They were like, "What was the score?" It was like 1-17 or something like that. And they're like, "Dang, Kisno, 100% of the kills." and then they go into game number 2. Like, they have strong mental. They're able to like play it out until they get to some mid-game team fights, and then win the mid-game team fights, and they like kept focus. So that's something I really admired about that DSG roster. And now that they have Kryra, you were talking in the opening episode how the coach was telling you that we're supposed to be a Kryra team and built for him to carry and stuff. So maybe they'll look completely different, and like all the game plans they've been scrimming and practicing will unfold before us. And maybe it's like, oh, he's spam ganking Saint or something, and we're like Operation Tilt Saint or something like that. But
at the end of the day, it's your first ever tier 1 game. You get to play against Inspired.
Yeah, I'm wondering, is DSG going to feel more pressure, specifically Kryra, because
the team was pretty
like
good.
From Kryra's perspective, it would have looked better if the team just crash and burn did awful and Kisno was just like the biggest liability of all time, right? Like,
because then there's no expectations.
Yeah, like that would have been what Kryra would probably not like outwardly hope for. Like, I don't think anyone's actually doing that, but like it would have helped his perception, right? But because Kisno actually did well and DSG did better than people were expecting, now for Kryra, it's like, if he does bad and if the team does bad, then you're going to have these people being like, how about Kisno, right? It's like why'd they switch out Kisno? That was going pretty good.
What if we even scrimmed with him?
Yeah. So, I mean, there might be a little bit more pressure on Kryra himself, which is like, it's not what you want when you're making your debut as a rookie. And I mean, there's no guarantee that actually happens. Like, they might just be completely chill and still in a good headspace, but it is something to think about.
But if they lose and they go into the last chance thing and then you lose again, that feels tough.
It definitely, it doesn't look great.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, because you get eliminated pretty early and you have a lot of time to think about it, and everybody's, there's no more stage games to go for. Mm-hmm. I will say though, Inspired is still in MVP form. This guy is already able to solo carry games, take away enemy win conditions, build towards his own, create hero plays. So it's not like you're coming in and it's like, all right, maybe because Inspired's on a new team with all these, players, and everyone's wondering about, are the personalities going to work together? Honestly, probably doesn't even matter.
Inspired's personality works with Inspired.
Yeah.
So
he's looking good.
He's looking insane. I mean, Inspired still looks like the best jungler in the league. Even with his team struggling, he's a beast, absolute beast. We have Dig versus Shopify. So loser of this will be eliminated. Will be first team out. If it goes 0-3, you're done. The winner of this will have a chance. I think. I guess there could be tiebreakers and stuff, so maybe it's not guaranteed. But I think the winner of this should probably be in the last chance qualifier. Very likely. So this is obviously a really important matchup, and I mean, again, it's like it is a very fast first split. You're eliminated very quick. I mean, well, it's not even really a split. It's like it's a mini tournament, right? That's kicking off the year. It won't be that long till they play again, but it obviously feels really bad to be first team out and to miss playoffs and to kind of like start off on that bad note. And, you talk about pressure on people. There's going to be a lot of pressure, I think. Zinni has a lot of pressure of expectations. Shopify was looked at, I think, by a lot of people as a team that could be, like top 4 team, right? Like a pretty strong team. So if they go first out, that would be crazy. Dignitas as well. You mentioned it, Kobe. Like Pal Fox said on pros that he thinks they could go to Worlds. Like he thinks they could be a top 3 team. Yeah, they got screwed with their bot lane coming in late. But again, it's like you don't want immediately to then just be first out, and everyone's like, well, it's just Dignitas as usual.
Yeah, if you're working so hard to change all of the perceptions of Dignitas, and you're like making internal changes and top-down changes, and if the results are still going to be 3-0 insta out, then it's really hard to change perception, and that's going to stick with you. But as you said last weekend so eloquently, this is the losers match. The losers of
Biggest losers.
It's the 0-2 teams, and so one of the teams,
One will be the super loser.
Which team is better at losing?
I guess if the theme of this episode was like hate watching, like people enjoy watching bottom of the barrel matches also, because there's a lot of emotions on the line, and like you're saying, there's a lot that goes with this, and so. There's going to be a lot of pressure right here for both these teams. We'll see if that does affect play. Historically, with Shopify, they have been able to win a lot of the games that mattered. So even though, and chat loved bringing up this stat, they had a negative win rate. They were like 40% games won.
Yeah.
They won the games that mattered, that progressed them in tournaments and progress them in playoffs. And so they were able to place top 3, and they were literally the third place team, even with a 40% win rate.
And both these teams haven't even won a game yet.
There you go. More goose egg stats. But you have to think about some of the moments where they got there, and I'm trying to remember who actually was the one giving the interview that credited contracts. I think it was Fudge, and he was talking about how, because he was asked about, a lot of these comeback plays and like crazy plays that you guys make in the late game. Why is Shopify so hard to take down, even when you're losing, even when they're getting beat in a game? And he was like, honestly, a lot of credit to contracts. They just like full send on some of these like pick attempts, or catch attempts, and. This is a team you can never underestimate, even when you are winning against them, because they'll just like send 5 people to a brush, on side lane or something, and just try and get your pick there, or do some crazy like attempt at countering an objective or something. So I do expect the series to be really fun to watch.
Yeah,
because Dignitas, this is. Despite them still starting 0-2, this is not like old style Dignitas, and so I think there should be some fun fireworks in this series.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned that this is also kind of like a revenge match for Palafox, because he was booted off Shopify. Now he's on Dig.
True.
And he was like one of the only players.
And I could see Palafox, to me, has always been a player who has the potential to play really well when he has the proper motivation, and I feel like this should be a pretty motivating situation, right? It's like you're down 0-2, you're going to get eliminated if you lose, and you're up against your former team that just booted you. So I could totally see Palafox having a really good series this one. And I also have my eye on the Shopify bot lane, because they have gotten rolled every game so far. Granted, they were up against FlyQuest bot lane, who's super good, and then TL's bot lane, also very good. So maybe it was just hard matchups, but like they've had some rough lanes, and so...
Even when they've had counterpick at times, I think.
Oh yeah, they've really gotten blasted badly. Which part of it is tough matchups, but again, they're up against FBI Ignar, who they had the visa issues last week, but I think historically they're a pretty solid lane. So we'll see. Can they bounce back, or is Shopify's bot lane just kind of like a weak point for them?
Yeah, and it is like that old energy team, because the 3 of them that are on Dignitas, plus Jonathan, the GM, who was coach, are playing verse contracts. So I was thinking, as I was talking about the contracts, like comeback plays and all these weird angles and stuff, these guys all played with him for so long, especially Palafox. Palafox has played years and years with contracts. So if there's any team that is not going to give him some of these angles, or some of these like risky gank things, or long extra stay over the time that people expect you to stay there type plays, I feel like Dignitas, the players that are on the roster now will have their eyes open for those types of plays.
Yep. The last matchup we're gonna have for this coming week is gonna be the winners match for winners.
Woohoo!
It's C9 versus Fly. This is the match for first place going into playoffs. Whoever wins obviously will be 3-0. C9 Fly. Last time I feel like that was like a headline matchup. You know, like I think when I guess it's more, I shouldn't say last time because obviously they were like recently, but I think back to like the first times back in the day to when, do you guys remember it was like the C9 Civil War thing when like High went over to Fly and they kind of
They had that weird logo, the original FlyQuest
was it
logo.
the airplane thing or something?
It wasn't quite. It was like an eyeball with some wings and stuff on it. And it was
yeah.
weird-
Oh yeah,
It was like yellow and
yeah, I remember that one.
But that's kind of what this brings me back to for some reason. Because I'm thinking back to like, it doesn't feel like this is the same FlyQuest team, right? Like obviously FlyQuest last year was like the expectations were just like, yeah, of course you dominate the league. Of course you're going to go to international, but are you going to beat an LCK or an LPL team? Like that's where people got to. And so it's, even though they are in a similar position to last year, it feels so different than before. So I don't know. It kind of brings me back to like the roots of this matchup, which is, I guess, why I was thinking of
it's a FlyQuest reboot. So
Yeah.
you can have that like Origins feel again.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, this is going to be a super exciting matchup because this is like FlyQuest's best test so far. I think they've looked really solid in their first two matches, but maybe it wasn't up against the toughest opponents. And C9, you know, one of the toughest opponents, maybe the toughest right now. So I'm really excited to see how they do. I would expect C9 to win this one. Though I'm going to keep my eye on the bot lane since I think C9's bot lane, like they're very good players, but Vulcan and Sven haven't really been that great in lane recently. Even in their game against Lyon, like game one, Sven's Corki specifically has had so many awful laning phases. Obviously, he can play the champion, but for some reason, just on stage, his Corki has just not done well at all. He'll fall down like a ton of CS in lane. They did get some kills to even it out against Berserker, but up until that point, like they were down so much farm and just perma-pressured. So I don't know. Masu and Cryogen have just absolutely dominated every lane so far. So I actually think that's an area where like, you know, C9 might struggle.
Yeah, I mean, Sven on average is down at 10 minutes, like 100 gold, and Masu's up 500 at 10 minutes on average. The only one he doesn't have as big of a lead as is Berserker, and I think that's mostly because of the Lion versus Dig series,
I mean,
where he was up like 10 trillion gold.
Yeah, that was crazy stat padding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be awesome matchup though. Griffin versus Blabber as well. You know, it's like now Blabber is like the Unk in a jungler, right? He used to be like
He was the
guy.
GOAT, and now he's
But he's been on C9 for like 8 years or something.
Yeah.
The Unk can still be the GOAT, you know?
True.
You got to
True.
It's like a faker.
True, but
Yeah.
it's just like, you know, old versus new in a
gunk.
way where I don't think most people would want to be called that.
The Oat.
Yeah, but
I think Gunk is funnier.
Funnier.
it's going to be a really good test for Griffin, I think,
Yeah.
going up against Blabber like that. Because Griffin's looked solid, honestly. He does.
You just reminded me, people should go watch the intro video for LCS because the part they have with Griffin, he specifically says he has this memory of watching Cloud9 win, and it was the year where Blabber got MVP and he gets the award, and everyone's tearing. I was tearing up too watching it, and Blabber starts
Chanting
tearing
for
up,
him.
and the whole stadium is chanting for him because you can see it means so much to Blabber. And there had been, there was a lot of conversation around it. And Griffin specifically points to this moment as being like, that's my dream. Like that inspired Griffin to become a pro jungler. So we'll be reutilizing that footage and intro and video and stuff for the intro of this series because that's just the perfect story. He's like, yeah, when I was 15, like Griffin is still so young. He's like, yeah, I was 15 and I saw that, and now I'm here playing versus Blabber, the MVP, the Gunk.
You know what else he said in that video was, I'm the next generation. All these old guys are about to retire, you know? So
The perfect spice,
we'll
maybe.
see
The
if he
perfect
can hurry
intro.
that along, you know?
And it also is, if Cloud9 win this one, then they've beaten TL, they've beaten Lion, they beat FlyQuest. Like, these are the best teams in the league. So Cloud9 could, I don't think, have a stronger start. Take it. This is basically like bounty hunting all the top teams, all the other top teams in the league. And so
DSG had a way easier path to get here for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, C9 can fully I mean, they are the de facto best team right now. I think everyone's going to be looking at it like that, and it would have to be a big upset from FlyQuest.
You mean FlyQuest? You said DSG
Oh,
had an easier path to get here.
sorry. I meant
Okay.
because they play. I was thinking because they played DSG.
Okay.
I meant like against DSG. Yes, FlyQuest. FlyQuest had an easier path to get here because they played DSG and then they played Shopify. Those are their wins, right? Compared to TL and Lyon, it's obviously a lot easier. Right?
Yeah, it is. It does always remind me how like this isn't a full round robin, obviously, because it's a lock-in tournament, but.
Yeah.
A lot of times people will overreact to like, you know, week
start.
1, week 2 starts for teams where then you look at their strength of schedule, you're like, hold up, like that's not the same kind of 2-0, right? It's like beating DSG Shopify compared to beating TL Lyon. So yeah, I mean, I would say Cloud9 hasn't looked completely untouchable. Like a lot of their games, like they can be a little bit messy, but they're beating really strong opponents. So yeah, I mean,
They're heavy favorites for sure.
Yeah, they're absolutely favored for this one.
Yeah, but it's going to be really exciting. I mean, it's a great test for FlyQuest, and you could argue that it's like their first like really big test because it's the first time they're playing against a team that is an expected like championship contender. You know, I don't think they are going to be there just yet, but it'll be cool to see like, okay, like can you compete? If you can upset them and win, that's crazy. Like, oh my god, are you just like a championship caliber team like just randomly from the word go?
So our Los Ratones story over
there
here.
You go.
The bad news bears, the underdogs, the
there
kids.
You go. I mean, that would be hype. But if they're even competitive with C9, I think that is such a promising start for this team because this team did not even think they would be good at the start, right? Yeah. Like Masu said it from the draw show. ThinkCard told me it's going to take a while when I was interviewing before the season started. So I think they have already kind of like surpassed their own expectations for their start. So now it's just a question of like, all right, like how high can you go?
Fly.
Yeah. How high can you fly? So it should be really fun. It's going to be an exciting weekend. Our producers also came up with a game that they want you guys to participate in. They're calling it Literal Word. I keep saying World Champion. And so the idea is that you guys leave a phrase in the comments that Kobe and I have to try to like fit into one of our casts.
And Meteos is going to have to say it on his co-stream, okay? So he's not getting out.
And no telling your co-streamers about it.
We got to see the reaction.
We got to see if you can sneak it in. So this reminded me, one of our producers for the dive used to do this, where in the story meetings where he'd be like, you got to say barn burner or like, I don't know, whatever, just like random words and things.
Yeah.
And so we have to be allowed to say it without getting fired. It's got to be safe for work.
Yeah.
You don't get too crazy, but if it's funny and it's safe and it gets a lot of upvotes in the comments, we'll try to get it in there. And then you guys can, if you notice it in the cast, you can call it out. Yeah. See, you can say who worked it in best.
there you go. So yeah, leave your comments of a word or phrase, and we'll see. We'll see. We'll filter them.
Yeah, they'll be heavily filtered. Yeah.
We're careful with dealing with.
If we're not filtering, there'll be no dive next week. Yeah. We'll all be fired. But that'll wrap it up for this episode of The Dive, driven by Kia. Be sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube so you don't miss an episode of The Dive. Leave a comment and let us know what phrase or word you want Kobe, Meteos, and I try to work into our cast this coming weekend. And then let us know if you catch us saying it during the broadcast. LCS returns this Saturday, February 7th, 1 p.m. Pacific, as Team Liquid is going to be taking on Sentinels. We'll see y'all there.